Hi, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scarbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Happy Valentine's Day. It's the 14th of February. It's interesting because Valentine's Day, I believe, was originally a holiday of friendship and not necessarily romantic love. And of course, the sun is in Aquarius every time we have Valentine's Day. So that makes more sense to me. Although the sending of love, the sending of hearts, symbolic of the polarity point of Aquarius, right? Letting the people that we know that we care about, to let them know that we care about them by sending these little hearts, right? And of course, it was much more popular. I guess it's still pretty popular, but I think it started in the Victorian times. And I think there's a lot of repression in the Victorian times when it came to what other people thought. So there's that energy with it as well. But I think we can make it more. I think we can make it more modern, right? More modern now. Now it's about like sending light, to one another and making connections and creating these light networks. That's the new Valentine's Day. So that's what I want to say about that. We're going to look at the astrology of the 14th through the 20th. And before we get into the details of it, we are still in a Mercury retrograde. We just had yesterday, actually, the acquittal, the second acquittal of Donald Trump. Very challenging for some, very relieving for others. I mean, the true believers have to believe now, right? That this guy is immortal or invincible. But that being said, we now look at, between now and the end of the week, Saturday. It's a time of really thinking deeply and really looking at the connections and aligning the connections, and it's as if we're fitting into place. And it's a new network. It's a new, I guess it's a new old network. It's a network that was separated from itself, and it's taken a lot of adjustments to get it right. And it's in. And 2021 is a year of change, 5. And but it's change based on a solid foundation. And 2020 was really a foundational year for us. It gave us a glimpse into possible futures. It gave us a glimpse into ourselves. It gave us a glimpse into other people's lives. How are other people living? Did we know that? Were we aware of that? Seeing black and white and old and young walking together in Black Lives Matter protests. It was a beautiful representation of the opening of the channels. And I think that we need to be willing to do what needs to be done in order to ease the suffering, in order to shine the light. So with Mercury, as Mercury stations direct, it slows down barely to a crawl. So, and then it pretty much just stands there. And in that standing there, it's very strong, very, very, very powerful. And that's happening on the 21st. So I think this week we're going to feel like we're still recuperating from this week and the week before and the week before. It's as if I talked about this in December of 2020. Is it December of 2020? Hold on, I gotta do math on my. December of 2020 was a tower experience. December 12th, right, plus 4 of the universal year of 2020. The falling tower, it's the soul vibration of Donald Trump. That vibration in the tree of life sits in the path between Netzach and Hod. Netzach is our passions. Hod is our mind. Energetically, it sits in the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is about autonomy. The solar plexus is about self-worth and self-esteem. The solar plexus is about our personal will and our rights to have one. Our power of choice, our free will. We have that. That can't be taken away from us, no matter what situation we're in, because we choose how to experience things. And we also choose as to whether we're going to move in the direction of the light, further illumination, or holding back. And yet the power is right here in the moment, here now. One of the things when you're an astrologer that happens, time gets accelerated a bit because you're always kind of looking ahead, unless you're an astrologer who does research on the past. And I've done some research in that respect, looking at charts, looking at, the historic stuff that happened at that time when this thing and that thing happened. But there's been so much happening now, so much change, so much as if we're getting catapulted forward. I mean, we're like flying through the air. Let go, let it happen. Fly through the air. You won't be harmed if it's a trust, trust. Not in a person, not in a figurehead, not in a system, not democracy, not a president or a vice president or a person at all. Okay, let's get into the astrology. I don't know where that came from. I mean, actually, I do know where that came from. Somewhere up here. And it came in and needed to be expressed. This is for edge chamber purposes, of course. And I'm really looking at the energetic frequencies as I perceive them through the lens of astrology and Kabbalah sometimes. So If it then awesome. If it doesn't, that's fine too. You'll find somebody or you'll find something that resonates with you. It's all good. It's all good. All right. So let's look at the week. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Post-it notes in front of me with the major aspects that are happening this week. So I'm going to utilize it like a little storyboard. I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about. Yes, I was in film. This is the storyboard. I don't know what that is. And so I'm just going to talk about, I think I'll just talk about the moon first because I can see what's going on here with the moon. So of course we start Sunday. Of course it is Sunday. I'm doing this on Sunday. And so it's much later than how Sunday began, right? So Sunday started with the moon in Pisces, but it wasn't in Pisces very long. It moved into Aries, and it moved into Aries today at 10:55 a.m. on the east coast of the U.S., so just about 11 a.m. And you can do your times in your time zone. And of course, that Aries moon is a go get it, go do it, instinctual. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to get going. So that's how we're starting. And Mercury's retrograde, almost standing still. So starting emotion. And so I feel like the emotions are starting, but the mind is still trying to get used to the new frequencies or the new energies that are bombarding us. I think I might have talked about this last week or the week before. I remember saying something like this. Well, it could have even just been one of my dailies or a card reading, but I just remember saying that. So on Monday, we have the moon in Aries wanting to start making very helpful aspects to Mercury, to Jupiter, and to Venus. And what's interesting about that is that today Mercury and Jupiter made a conjunction in Aquarius. Mercury is the mind, Mercury is the logical left brain, Jupiter is the creative right brain, the feminine brain, the masculine brain. They're on the same page today in Aquarius. Mercury is retrograde. So I would give the upper hand a little bit to Jupiter. So it's like Jupiter moves forward first, but then of course Mercury is going to catch up again, and there'll be another realization. I think that Jupiter and Mercury are making 3 conjunctions. They've already made one. I think this might be the second one. And then there'll be a third one. I'm going to do a special little thing on that, I think. Yeah, I think I will. I don't, because I don't have the information in front of me to do it, but I'm going to do a little special astrology blip on that. Okay, I have to write it down now. So, and then, yes, okay, here we go. I have it written right here. We have the second of 3 Mercury Jupiter conjunctions today. I don't think I wrote a time down, did I? No. At 14 of Aquarius. The first one occurred on January 11th at 6 degrees of Aquarius. So January 11th, so just so it was after the insurrection, 5 days after the insurrection. And then The second one happens today. And the third one is happening on March 4th, 2021. That's at 18 degrees in Aquarius. So I want to look at that more closely because I want to look at the Sabian symbols. I don't want to keep you too long this week on this. I have to do so many days. I can't really do a deep dive yet, but I will. All right. So Monday, we have these very supportive connections between the Aries moon, which is ready to go, with Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, all in Aquarius. So this is a time of talking, interacting, getting information, doing some research, keeping in mind that Mercury is retrograde. And that it may take a couple of tries, a couple of excuse me, I am so sorry. This is so annoying. A couple of tries. But it is whatever's being born at this time. What is it? Three something is a charm. 3 times is a charm. 3 times is a charm. So we have a charm, and I'll take a look at that. So we have all of this like emotional energy to start something new, aligning with all of this experience from the Aquarius energies. So there's a lot that needs to be said. There's a lot that needs to be heard. There's a lot of information that needs to be taken in. You take it in, and you have time with it. You look at it, you examine it, you see what it is that you have to do. What is it in your consciousness, right in your face? What do you have to do? What do you have to do? Do it. Do it. On Tuesday, the moon moves into Taurus. That actually occurs here on the East Coast anyway at 10:13 p.m. And so it's late in the day. So we have here, at least on this coast, and places east of us, we have the moon in Aries for most of the day. The moon makes a square to Pluto. It does every month when it's in Aries, because Pluto's in Capricorn. Hold on, I think maybe I can. I have a new phone and I don't really. Okay, I don't think it's anything I have to worry about. I don't really know how to use it, so there we go. All right, sorry. So that square between Pluto and the moon in Aries is it's having to take an action to feel, in order to sort of break free or to survive or to get out, to break free of a constraint, of maybe a powerful bond that needs to break. It's time for it to break. It's time for it to let go. And we also have the sun and the moon in a is it the moon? The sun and the moon, yes, in a supportive sextile to each other. And this is the first polemic. I'm trying to remember the astronomer's name. Ptomley. I don't know why I can't say it. It's like stuck. I might have even spelled it wrong, but you know who I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, you probably know who I'm talking about. Yeah, so this is going to be the first aspect. Yeah, so it's the Gemini side sextile. So it's about gathering information. I almost feel, like, I don't want to make this political, and I say that all the time, but then these things come in and I figure I have to say it. I almost feel like had the Republicans grown a spine and stood up to Donald Trump and found him guilty, then the nuclear option around Donald Trump didn't have to be pulled out. And I think the Democrats have a nuclear option. Or if not the Democrats, I don't really even think it's the Democrats. It's the forces that are against an authoritarian state. The weird thing is that, you know, we have all these Donald Trump protesters, and we're thinking that they're the ones who are trying to break the norms. But we're the ones trying to break the norms. Because the norm would be power over, and the opposite of that is people power and empowerment of each one of us as individuals. I mean, imagine if we just take our own agency, our own sense of power, but not over something, not to conquer, but just to be the beautiful energy of beingness. I mean, that's why I love being out in my garden. You're being, you're hearing the birds. You're remembering that you're not all by yourself, isolated somewhere in your own mind, even. That's the thing with the mind, it isolates us. And the heart connects us. And so when we talk at people or judge them, it doesn't help. It only helps to love them where they're at whatever level they are, no matter who they voted for. We're learning. We're learning. We are the ones we've been waiting for. All right. So on Wednesday the 17th, this is a biggie. I actually have a specialized astrology thing for this that I've already almost completely developed, and I'm gonna do that maybe tomorrow. I'll put that up. I'll see what I can get done today. But that's the aspect that's happening on the 17th. And it's a Saturn-Uranus square. Now, Saturn is the planet associated with structure of things, boundaries, limitations. In the human body, Saturn rules the bones, the spine, the knees, and the skin that holds us in. The boundary between the outside, our outside environment, and our inside environment, what's inside of us. And it's meeting up with Uranus, which is the enlightening force, the bulge from the blue, the tower in the Tower card. The lightning comes down from heaven and destroys the tower. The tower isn't destroyed from below. I'm just going to try to find the card here. This isn't the Rider-Waite, but I think this tower card is pretty powerful, if I remember correctly. Okay. Here we go. The lightning flash comes from above. from spirit, reminding us. All these little flames coming down, those are yods. Those are packets of information. Yods are like downloads, really. These little power-packed pellets that have within them the whole story of who we are, reminding us, you're not this. You're divine, and you're here with a purpose. Wake up. Wake up. As we wake up, it clears up. Somebody, I used to get a lot of, the question is always, is Donald Trump going to be here now? Is Donald Trump going to be, I personally didn't think he was going to last 2 years. And I don't think he would have if the Republicans hadn't decided to completely back him in everything that he did. I think he had 2 years to get things done. And then the rest of the time he couldn't, because the House became Democratic. And so he didn't have both houses. He didn't have the House and he didn't have the Senate together. And so he started to back into a corner at that time. And he's been obstructing, shutting down the government. It's hard to even remember all the things that he's done because we're in it. Because we're in it. But that is changing. He's not in power anymore. He's only in as much power as we give him. So if you want to keep seeing him, keep giving him energy. I got off on a tangent. I apologize. I think it was a good tangent. Saturn is in Aquarius. Saturn rules Aquarius. Before Uranus was discovered, the zodiac Aquarius was there. And its ruler was Saturn. And so it's actually, Aquarius has a co-ruler, Saturn and Uranus. And the fact that the two co-rulers of the sign of Aquarius are square each other in a last quarter crisis in consciousness, waking up Aquarius square, the amount of light that is being expressed at this time is breathtaking. Breathtaking. Breathe it in, folks. Don't let the anxiety around Trump being acquitted or all these strains of COVID, forget it. Take your precautions. I'm not telling you to run around without a mask. Take the precautions that you need to take to stay safe. And don't lock into the fear. In a way, the Trump side and the Democratic side are invested in a certain amount of fear and control. We're breaking free. This is really a birth. December was a birth. December was the pushing out the baby of 2020. All of this stopping and pondering and thinking and feeling and healing that had to occur in 2020. This square is it happens 3 times. This is the first one. I don't know if I wrote it back. No, I didn't write when. The next one I think is in June. And the last one is, I think, December 24th. So this is a crisis in the way we think. It is a point where we want to be autonomous, and yet that autonomy needs to or will progress into working together for the common good. It's the next step. It's the next step. You know, it strikes me that finding Trump not guilty is the perfect example of how broken the patriarchal system is. And that now that we see it for what it is, naked in that, we have a choice, always. What are you going to choose? It all comes down to that, doesn't it? All right, powerful stuff. Wednesday, big shift. And remember, Mercury's standing still. Just imagine that you're being given an encyclopedia and you decide that you're going to build a bookcase to put all that knowledge in a beautiful bookcase. And you've planned it out and you're like, I know each book is this size and there's 24 books of this or 26 books of this. And then what I would say is build a bigger bookcase, because the information that's going to be coming down to us this week is amazing. And we're not going to know about it completely. We're not going to know everything. We're not going to know it all at once, but know that there's a huge download coming. Prepare yourselves. And back up your computers, because this is a big surge that's happening. And we may even see some seismic stuff happen because Uranus is in Taurus. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff happening, right? Meteors, right? A meteor in the sky in Virginia, meteor was it China? Earthquake at Fukushima again. And in all these places, Vanuatu, that's been very active over the last few years. We're in for a big shift. There's like, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful I have this platform, I guess. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Oh, Thursday. Well, Thursday, the 18th, the sun moves into Pisces. So we've had a lot of input since the last time when the sun moved into Aries from Pisces. It started the zodiacal cycle, the 12-month zodiacal cycle. And now when the sun moves into Pisces, it's in that last 30 degrees of the zodiac before it goes back into Aries. Pisces is the repository for all, it's like an amorphous field of energy where there's no separation. And as we sort of float around in this great cosmic sea, things start to develop. Last year, I remember saying, there was a Mercury retrograde in Pisces, I think. And there was all this very Neptunian energy last year. And of course, Neptune rules pandemics. viruses, things like your immune system. And that was after the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in January. And so that sort of went into this cauldron, and it gets born in Aries. And that was the 20th, I think, or the 21st last year, when the sun moved into Aries. And that's really when the whole pandemic thing, like, really sort of came out, and, you know, where we were all aware of it. And so we're kind of in that place again, but the energy's different. We do have a handle on the pandemic stuff. We have a lot of catching up to do, but we're not completely in the dark like we were last year. So we have knowledge. So it's not going to be another 2020. It's definitely not that. But that amorphous Sun in Pisces potential of creation, Aries, is a time to really align with that which you are here to create. Because what happens is that energy of Pisces will come up in that symbol of Aries, and we start a new cycle from that cosmic consciousness place of Pisces. It's kind of like my stained glass window that I have in my office, above my office. The symbol of Aries is sort of coming out of the moon, which is that moon it's half dark and half light. It's the yin yang. But in the actual piece of glass, I have etched the symbol of Cancer, the 2 6s, the 69. But you can't see it because it's too far away. But if you were to touch it, you'd feel it etched in the back. So that's the process that happens. We rise up from the great cosmic sea and say, I am. And what are you gonna say after I am? I am light. I am love. I am free. Whatever it is, you get to define what you are. Do you want to say, I'm afraid? I'm limited. I'm sick. I'm tired. Is that what you want? All right. The moon is in Taurus. The moon moves to Taurus on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The moon moves into Gemini, and that happens at 11:04 a.m. in the late afternoon here on the East Coast of the U.S. It's also a first quarter square moon. We have the moon now in Gemini and the sun in Pisces. Crisis in action. And that is a crisis in action based on the seed planted at the very, very powerful new moon in Aquarius, with 6 of the 7 classical planets in Aquarius, squared by Mars in Taurus, and Aquarius is in Taurus now. So it's all Aquarius and all Taurus. The highest air vibration and the densest earth vibration. Cracking us open, literally. We also have on that day, Friday, with the moon in Gemini and the sun in Pisces, we have a square between Venus and Mars. It's a last quarter Christ and consciousness square. Venus is in Aquarius and Mars is in Taurus. This was originally seeded back on, I think it was August 24th, 2019, and these two planets conjoined. And I believe it was at 10 degrees of Virgo. And when Venus and Mars make their conjunction, it happens every 2 years, about every 2 years. And I kind of look at Venus and Mars are the planets that are associated with how we relate to one another, how we relate to ourselves. How do we balance the masculine and the feminine within us? How do we balance the masculine and feminine within our relationships? The yin and the yang, right? The moon, the duality, the moon in my stained glass window. When it's in Virgo, it's like we're perfecting it. We're perfecting it. And I think the next series of the last two conjunctions have been in Virgo, I believe. And so that's a 4-year period of really sort of learning about discernment and learning about what necessary adjustments we need to make and how we relate to one another. And then the next time they make a conjunction, I believe it's in Leo, which of course is the sign associated with love, open-hearted generosity. You know, the children are suffering as the parents suffer through this, but they have a wisdom and they know things, but they're also afraid. I think we need to be kinder and gentler to each other. See the scared and lost child within us. I saw on Diana's tarot, this Paw Patrol from Biden, his 2 dogs have started this Paw Patrol, and it's got a paw, and it's got it's a paw and a heart. It's got 46 with a heart. And 46 is a 46-1 vibration, which is located in Tippereth in the heart. We are moving into love. We are moving into love. And then Saturday, oh, I have, am I going to, yeah, to Saturday. Saturday is the, let's see, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have Saturday the 20th. I have that Mercury stations direct. Maybe it's a station on the 20th. I thought it was the 21st. At 12 degrees of Aquarius. I want to read the Sabian symbol for that. If you just give me a moment here. I just have to find it. I think I have the Sabian symbols up. If I don't, it'll just take me a moment here. Mind fire. And it's 12 degrees of Aquarius. Okay, let me look at 12 degrees of Aquarius, because this is important. This is where Mercury stops and stands still. And so the energy here is going to be very important. And the theme of the Sabian symbol. They've been so very accurate with this stuff. What did I say? 12 degrees. Says, on a vast staircase stand people of different types, graduated upward. The necessity of recognizing differences of types and levels of development whenever human beings live and work together. This symbol obviously refers to the ascending process of evolution of life forms and consciousness. It seems to apply especially to the fact that differences of levels exist among human beings. The ideal of egalitarianism has to be balanced by a realization that hierarchy of levels is a fact of nature. Each person should be aware of the level at which he or she stands, even as she strives to move towards a higher ones. He should look up for inspiration and examples while helping the human beings of the next lower level to reach up. This is the great give and take of evolution, and it applies to the sociocultural evolution as well as the progression of biological species. And the key word is here. Oh, let's see what it says here. Western egalitarianism, which essentially applies to the spiritual core of all individual personas considered sons of gods, of spiritual monads. Every human being is potentially divine as an individual person, but the natural progression of states of consciousness is an unavoidable reality to accept at the social mental level. And so, sorry, it was too small. I guess I could have made it bigger. I'm so sorry. And the background is a little distracting, but amazing. We do have to remember that people are at different places. And I think I said that. Didn't I say that? We have to love one another, stop judging one another. Oh God, I have to do that too, don't I? I do come from that place. I'm not always there. I'm not always there. But it doesn't last long. Some days I have these days where I can't stand being in my own skin. It's just like all of these like negative thoughts and judgments and just come out and come out and come out. It's like, I don't know, it's like cleaning an area where like shards of stuff has accumulated, and you finally just like dump it out, it all just sort of precipitates out, and then you can sort of let it go. I've had a couple of experiences. That's more of a mental thing. I once had an emotional experience, and I'm pretty upbeat about who I am. I'm pretty positive. I pretty much really like myself. I think I've always kind of liked myself. I've never really disliked myself all that much. And I felt misunderstood. I felt different, of all that stuff, but I kind of like myself. And one time I had this feeling, and it happened that I was in a financially difficult position for a while. And it was at a time in my life when like $100 was a lot. And it was the difference between having something that you needed and not being able to have something that you needed. And I made a silly mistake. I thought money was there, the money wasn't there, and I ended up accruing all of these bank fees. And I don't know, it wasn't like say it was $100, because that would have been the like level of like, oh my God, I can't believe one mistake, $100. Like it cost me that. It doesn't seem like it should cost that much. But so I was really mad. And I was really mad at myself because it didn't have to be that way. If I had just paid attention to what needed to be paid attention to, and I knew I had to pay attention to it, but I didn't. And as I was like, I was having this emotional reaction that was just so kind of out of proportion to the stimulus. It was $100. I'm here. I mean, we didn't go anywhere. We weren't living on the street. It was sort of it was like a barrier that I was moving through. And all of a sudden, out of a very deep place in me that I don't think I ever felt, I actually felt it rise up in me. And it was like, you're not worth it. You're just, what was it? I'm trying to make it. I let it go. So I don't, I'm not going to, you're not worth that much. Or there was something like that. And I almost had like a past life memory of oh, I don't know if I should share this. I'm going to share it. I got a past life memory of being like a prostitute that had like lost her luster, and suddenly I wasn't beautiful enough to be worthy or worth anything. And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And I watched it, I felt it, and I felt it go. I was totally unconscious of that feeling. Totally. But it was in there, and it came up and it went out. And sometimes we have to have experiences that bring that up in us. That's really what Drumpf has done. He's brought up a lot of trauma, and a lot of memories, and a lot of senses of like, how many times have we felt unjustly treated through this process? And if that's what he says, is nobody treats me fairly. It's like, what? Right? It's weird. Oh, shit. Ooh. Hopefully they don't censor me for that. That just kind of flew out. That's my jersey coming out. Oh, God help me. So this Mercury stationing direct, big. Accept people for where they're at. And let's move on. Agree to disagree. Love them anyway. Maybe use a little humor. I have to tell you a joke. Well, I have to tell you an interaction I had on Facebook that is a lot of them are awful, but this one I thought was cute. So I have a cousin who I love. We have been like, right, since we were little kids. We were both kind of, in our own way, we're outsiders. He was an outsider for one reason. I was an outsider for another reason, but we bonded on that. Now he's a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, and I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, and we still love each other. I would trust my life with him. I would. I know he loves me. He'd give me a kidney, and I'd give him a kidney. Except we're not really related. But that's another story for another day. But he grew up, he was my cousin. And he said, oh, Monday is President's Day. We're gonna, oh my God, what did he say? Are we gonna call it the Clinton and Obama Day or something? Is that who we're gonna remember? And one of our other cousins and his nephew, my cousin, said, oh, Michelle Obama, 2020, 2024, 2028. I can't remember what he wrote. It's funny. And I said, oh, President's Day. I said, well, I have a few of my favorites. I said, Jefferson, Lincoln, RFK, FDR, sorry, FDR, JFK, Obama, Ocasio-Cortez, ... Oh my God, it was so funny. I got such a chuckle. I don't know what my cousin thought because I haven't looked, he hasn't commented, but there have been a few people that have chuckled over it. Yeah, that's funny. Why did I talk about that? Oh, just, love people where they're at. I think that was the moral of that story. So I am here. Before I let you go, I think I'm going to let you go. I didn't show you any charts today. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. But I think the information was important. So I'm hanging out with Ruth, right? And I have Bernie here. Okay. So I just want to show you a couple of things. It is Valentine's Day, and I want to just show you a couple of things here. So this painting back here is from one of my watchers, Robin, who in fact makes much of my jewelry, much of the jewelry I wear, the earrings I wear, and sometimes the necklaces I wear. Not these are from somebody else. She always sends me beautiful things, and she sent me this painting, and I know I've showed it to you before. And then I have this here, which is oh, what do you call it? Like a lotus flower, like a lotus. My friend Jackie gave me this for Christmas. She's actually impossible to go shopping with. We were going Christmas shopping, and everything I picked up, she wanted to buy from me, which most people, wouldn't complain about that. But I'm so very grateful. But she says, "Oh, you want that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy it," because I buy stuff for myself all the time, especially at Christmas. It's like when I buy my most stuff for myself, because it's the only time I go shopping. But that's another story. So she picked it, she grabbed it from me, and then she gifted it to me. And it's funny because I forgot, and then when I got it, I'm like, "Oh, I love this. I remember this," right? So that was from Jackie. And then of course I have some crystals, my crystal from Gail. Thank you, Gail. I have some flowers I got from the store. This I have, I think this was from a friend of mine, Beth. I think this was from Beth. This was like one of my first astrology classes, and we used to give each other little gifts. Everybody in the class would give each other gifts. I think that was from Beth. And then these two carvings. These are carvings. These are made by an ex-boyfriend of mine, George. And see, he wrote underneath, he signed it and everything. It says "The Woman," 6/25/1983. I met George in college, and we dated I think the last 2 years of college, or the last year of college, and then into when I was in chiropractic college. And George was he was I was like a very sort of protected working class neighborhood, said parochial, but very smart. I was always very bright. And I went off to college, and I met George in college, and he was different. His mother was from Germany. She was from a different country. His father built racing boats. I mean, he was a very successful businessman, and they hobnobbed with, they had a history. They had hobnobbed with, this kind of like the swinging 60s, right? They were like into that swinging 60s thing. And very, very nice people. His father was very smart, brilliant man. And George was like that too. He was a biochemistry major. He was really smart. And he'd make furniture. He was a furniture maker. I actually have a table in my house that he made. I'll show it to you one day. It's a beautiful table. He's very talented. Um, so he made this, yeah. So I dated George, and he was so different. Like his father used to, he was really good at rolling joints. Now, I didn't really do any drugs. I went to Catholic school, and then went to Catholic school. I was a good Catholic school. I didn't have older brothers and sisters. My cousins didn't like, if they did do that kind of stuff, they never did it around me. So I didn't really have exposure to that. But his dad, like, his dad taught him how to roll joints, and he rolled a beautiful joint because he used to do it for his dad. So that's the kind of, like, and it was like totally alien to me because my parents were like old school Sicilian. And so I got to live a lifestyle, and he wasn't rich, his parents weren't rich, but they had interesting friends, and we went on speedboats, and you know so he, like, opened up like a whole new world to me. um and I think I dated George for like 2 years or 3 years. Really decent guy, really decent guy. And he made these for me when I was in Italy in 1983, I think it was. That summer, I went to Italy with my girlfriends. We were there for 5 weeks, and I had just started to date George. I missed him so much. I was in Venice, and all I could think about was, I'm in the most beautiful romantic place in the world, and I'm not here with George. But when I came home, he had carved these for me, the man and the woman. He carved the man first and the woman. And believe it or not, there was a time in my life when I kind of looked like this. Maybe I never had quite that, a flat stomach, but I kind of looked like this. And he said that I inspired him to do it. And George was very, like, tall and angular. And he kind of looked like this guy, but he didn't give himself an arm. He said because I was in Italy, he wanted me to, like, think of Italy with, like, these statues without arms on it. I don't know, it's so funny. But yeah, so he gave me those, and I was, look, I keep them in my house. They're precious to me. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to put them up for Valentine's Day, right? If we're doing something for Valentine's Day. And that wasn't with this, it's on something over there. I don't know what it is. I'll fix it later. But I thought I would share that with you because George was a really special person. He actually came to visit me when I lived on the Cape. Him and his friend were somewhere in either Massachusetts or Connecticut. I think maybe Mystic. They were doing some boat thing. And he said, "Oh," he says, my old girlfriend lives up in this area." So they looked me up and they found me. And I remember I was in my house. I was actually in the bathroom. And Michael came in and said, there's a guy downstairs named George. He's looking for you. I'm like, "George?" So I finished what I was doing and I went down, and I hadn't seen him in so many years. It was so good to see him. And he was there with his friend, and we just stood there and we talked, and it's like, I don't know, it was just lovely. And I think he made a comment about never forgetting me or something, that he always wondered what happened. And there was a fondness. He remembered me fondly. And I think that's a testament. But then a couple of years ago, and I'm terrible with years. Everything blends into everything else now. So but a couple of years ago I thought about him, and I was like, I should see if I can find him on Facebook. So I looked on Facebook and I couldn't find him, which I thought was kind of weird because he seemed like the kind of guy I'd be on Facebook. So I did a Google search on him, and I actually came up with his obituary. And when I looked at the day that he passed, it was like a year and a day to when he passed that I thought about him and looked for him and found out that he passed. And it brought all the feelings back, all the feelings. All the fun, all the adventures. Oh God, we used to have so much fun. We would go out to Fire Island, to Cherry Grove. And if anybody knows Fire Island or Cherry Grove, you'll know what I'm talking about. And we would go, and he was really quite pretty. He was a pretty, pretty man, and very fine features. You know, he actually looked like a young. He looked a lot like James Spader when he was young, and he had that kind of energy. He was like a combination of James Spader and the guy who says too much cowbell. No, more cowbell, Christopher Walken. So mix those two up. And that was George. We used to have so much fun. We would, be dancing at the gay clubs and stuff. It was great. Go to the nude beach. That was fun too. I have stories. None of them dirty, most of them funny. We had a great time. But he made those for me. And I thought about him today, and I said, let me get those statues. They had dust on them, so I dusted them off. I cleaned them up. And I thought I would bring them down. They're very precious to me, as was George very precious to me. And he still comes around. He still comes around. One time I smelled marijuana in the house, and I was like, is Michael smoking? So I was like, Michael, are you smoking? He's like, no, I don't have any marijuana. I was like, pot. We don't call it marijuana, but. And so I was like, oh. And then I realized that George was there, that he'd come to visit. And so we talked to George, me and my girlfriend, Nancy. She did some. In fact, I talked to George before that because I dream about him a lot. I dream about him all the time. And my friend, George was a little bit of, he wasn't very spiritual. I'd probably say he was maybe even an atheist. I don't know. It wasn't like a spiritual thing. We didn't talk about that stuff. He's just very smart and a very kind-hearted person, very loving. So, what does it matter what you believe in, right? If you're being kind and if you're lightening up the world and being kind, what's the difference, right? So, oh God, did I lose the point? Did I lose the point of this conversation again? Anyway, he was a good dude. He was a good dude. And I'm glad I knew him. Part of a light on my path. And anyway, I know what I was saying. So my girlfriend, she's very serious. She's got her pendulum out and stuff. She's going to talk to George. And the pendulum's not doing anything. And I heard, like, in my head, him laughing. He's like, what's this shit? And I'm like, George doesn't want to work through the pendulum. He was like that. Because my girlfriend was very serious, taking everything very seriously. And he just was like, forget it, just let's have some fun, let's have some fun. Oh, it was really funny. Anyway, so that's the week ahead. Is this really astrology? I'm going to put it up. All right. I've been working and experimenting with this. I know some of you like the charts. I do the charts. If you really like charts, I have a bunch of them in my monthly. So again, this is how it developed, and I'm going with it. I'm just going with it. I'm in the moment, and I'm going with it. All right, guys. Much love. It's a week to ponder. It's a week to gather information. There is going to be some big event. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical event, but it probably, there will be something that happens on that physical, like something's going to give, but it is going to open us up. It's going to open us up, and we're going to move forward on that. And it's part of the process of what we're developing, based on our own autonomy and as autonomous beings working together to create a better world, literally a better world. All right, guys, much love. I'll see you again next week for the week ahead. And who knows what that one's going to look like. I'm having too much fun, guys. I really needed this fun, boy. Let me tell you, yesterday was hard. Today is beautiful. Much love. Namaste. Like, subscribe. If you'd like a reading with me, feel free to contact me. VickyScurbo@gmail. There's links below. You can, I'll put them below so you can contact me. And I know there's a few people who have made, who've paid for readings. I'm going to look at my schedule and get things out to you tomorrow. I think I'm going to take tomorrow off. I was going to work tomorrow, but it's President's Day, so I hear. Ocasio-Cortez Day. So I think I'm going to spend it organizing my week. All right. Much love. Take care. Oh, and thank you, Letitia. I love it. It's beautiful.